Today, I want to teach you some advanced vocabulary words related to politics. Hey everyone, my name is Wes. This is Interactive English, which is all about helping you practice and improve your English skills. And today is a vocabulary lesson about politics. And I know that some of you may be very excited about this because you love talking about politics. Other people may be like, oh no, I don't like talking about politics, but still, this is very important because even if you don't like to talk about politics, you are going to hear other people talk about it, maybe your friends, or even if you're listening to the news, or you may read about it. So this is very important for your comprehension. I want to let you know that these words specifically refer to American politics. Now, you may also be able to use them when talking about other countries and their politics. It really just depends. And you can also use some of these words and phrases even when you're talking about things outside of politics. The other thing that I want to warn you about is that many of these words and phrases have a bit of a negative connotation. When people think of government, when they think about politics, many people have a negative view. Oftentimes they may view it as a necessary evil, and that's the first expression and phrase that I want to talk to you about when talking about government. People may say that it's a necessary evil, and it kind of means exactly what it says. People don't like governments. Maybe they don't agree with everything, all of the laws that are being passed, and they might just describe it in the extreme case as evil, but it's a necessary evil. It's important. You must have it because if you don't have government, then the alternative is much worse. So people might describe it and say, it's a necessary evil. You can also use this expression to describe other things as well. If there is some situation, could be at work in a business environment, you don't like it, you don't agree with it, but it's important. You must have it. You could say, well, it's a necessary evil. The next word is impeachment. And this word means a serious charge against a public official for some misconduct. And that misconduct, it may be criminal, it may not be criminal, and it could just be some unethical behavior, something that's just wrong. And others within the government may try to impeach this public official. And you can use it as a verb to impeach someone or as the noun impeachment. And again, it's a serious charge because if someone is impeached, then they may be removed from public office. So this is a word that does apply to American politics, but it's also a word that may apply to other countries and their political system as well. Impeachment, it is a serious charge against a public official for misconduct. Then we have quid pro quo. And quid pro quo means that you are giving something in exchange for something else. And when I say something, I'm talking about something of value. So it could be giving something in exchange for money, perhaps in exchange for information. There is some kind of transaction there, and it is a quid pro quo. We use this when talking about politicians in government. They do favors for businesses or other individuals, and they get something in return. We'd say that is a quid pro quo. Again, this is another expression that you can use outside of politics if you're talking about something in exchange for something else. Let me give you an example, okay? I am willing to teach you some more advanced vocabulary words, but you need to do something for me, all right? This is going to be a quid pro quo. I want you to hit that like button. You do that for me, and I will continue teaching you some vocabulary words. It's a quid pro quo. Then I have a word that I think many of you may already know, but when thinking about politics and government, it is something that is so important, and that is compromise. And what it means is to work together in order to reach an agreement. So for example, if somebody has this position right here, this is what they want. The other person has this position. You kind of need to work together and you need to meet in the middle so that work can get done. people need to compromise. Politicians need to compromise. And unfortunately, especially in American politics, it seems like fewer and fewer politicians are willing to compromise and work with other people. They just say, hey, this is what I want. If you don't give it to me, well, then nothing will get done. And this is one example as to why people might refer to government as being a bit evil, because people don't compromise. They don't get things done. But still, it's a necessary evil. And again, this is a word that you can use in so many different situations at home or at work. If you have people who disagree about some issue or some situation, then they need to compromise. They need to reach some sort of agreement. Then we have leak. And often it's used as a verb, to leak something. And that something is referring to secret information, and you make it known public. It's generally known among everyone. You are leaking this information. It happens in politics, but it can also happen perhaps in business. If a company has some secret information they don't want the public to know about, that information may be leaked by somebody inside. Generally speaking, leaking information may be criminal. It's not something that I think many people want to happen because they want to believe that governments and businesses are acting appropriately. But if somebody inside feels that, okay, this is wrong, they may leak information. Another word which kind of relates to that is that if they decide not to leak information because it's illegal, they may try to become a whistleblower. And that's the next word I want to talk to you about, because a whistleblower is a person that tries to expose a government for some wrongdoing. And what they do is that they would tell a person in authority that something is happening and this is wrong. And oftentimes it's used in politics and it's talking about something in government that is wrong, and somebody becomes a whistleblower. And in this case, there are channels that you can use so that it is legal, that it is appropriate, and somebody becomes a whistleblower. The next word that I have for you, or words, because it's a phrase, 2 words, and that is big brother. And this is just an expression that's used to refer to a government that has complete control, and they limit people's freedom, even their freedom of thought. And this expression comes from George Orwell's amazing book, 1984, and it's talking about, this government that just has complete control over every aspect of a person's life. Nowadays, I think it's used a little more informally when talking about a part of government and politics, something that may be happening that you don't think is right. You could refer to it and say, yeah, big brother's watching you. You got to be careful. I think there was even a TV show out there called Big Brother, in which they just put these cameras up all over a home and people lived there. They had no privacy, and it was like, Big Brother was watching. Then we have a verb, which is to lobby. And this is a word that it is very common in American politics, to lobby a public official. And when you lobby somebody, it means that you are trying to persuade or influence this public official to take a particular action, or maybe even to change a law, to lobby someone. And you're doing it for pretty much your own personal gain or somebody else's interest. You may also hear this word used as a noun when referring to a group of people, and they refer to it as a lobby, or as a person who does this for a living and this is their job. They may be called a lobbyist. So a lobbyist would lobby a politician in order to influence them so that they do something that they want. They might change some law, or they may vote a certain way, to lobby someone. This is something that I really don't like about American politics. There is way too much lobbying going on and people looking out for their own interest, companies, individuals, instead of the country as a whole. If you have a lot of money, if you are a company or a very wealthy person, you can pay a lobbyist to represent your interest, and they would lobby the politicians to do what you want. And there's kind of that quid pro quo, because if the politician votes a certain way or tries to change a certain law, then that individual, that company will donate to their campaign. They will try to help them get reelected and donate to their campaign, which in a way is a quid pro quo. And campaign is actually the next word that I wanted to talk to you about. A campaign is a group of people working together to achieve a certain goal. And usually that goal is to get someone elected. So a politician, if they want to get elected, they need a campaign. They need to get a group of people working for them to get donations, to do advertising. And these people work together, and that is a campaign. And this is a word that you will hear often in American politics, because all politicians, when they want to get elected, they have a campaign. They have people working for them that are trying to get them elected to office. We can also use it as a verb, to campaign, and say that a politician, a public official, is campaigning. They're out there, they're traveling the country, they're talking to people, they are campaigning because they want to get elected. They want people to vote for them. Then we have the word pundit, and this is referring to a person. It is a person who knows a lot about a particular topic, and they're usually asked to give their opinions about this topic, mostly because they sound smart, they sound like they know what they're talking about, and you would say that that person is a pundit. Often, I think you could refer to people in the media who talk a lot about politics. People refer to them as political pundits. They talk about politics, they share their opinions, they are political pundits. Next is red tape, and this refers to rules or processes that seem unnecessary and just often cause delay. So if you want to do something in the community, you may need permission from the government. You may need to go talk to your local politicians, and they may tell you, well, you have to do this and this and this and this, and you think, wow, there is a lot of red tape. There are things that I have to do. It's completely unnecessary. I don't know why I'm doing it. And that is what you would call red tape. It's often used when talking about government, politics. When you want to do something, you'd say, well, I want to throw a parade, but there's a lot of red tape. I want to open a business, but in order to do so, there's a lot of red tape that I have to go through. Next is a word that is more informal, maybe even a little bit of slang, and that is shady. It is an adjective that you can use to describe someone who is just dishonest and they do unethical things, perhaps illegal things. You could say, well, this person is a bit shady. Politics in the US, it can be a bit shady. Some politicians may be very shady. So when we describe somebody as shady, it's just somebody who is dishonest and can't be trusted. We can use this not only when talking about politics, but other situations as well, just people in our everyday lives. You could say that somebody is shady, or maybe even somebody looks shady. They look like they can't be trusted. Shady. Then we have cynic, and this is just describing a person. Somebody is a cynic. And if a person is a cynic, it means that they believe that other people are only looking out for their own self-interest, and that just the common good cannot be done, that things are not going to get better because most people involved are just trying to get ahead and trying to work for themselves. You could say that that person is a cynic, and it's often used as an adjective as well to describe a person and say that somebody is cynical. And if somebody is cynical, then they believe that very thing. People are motivated by their own self-interest. To be perfectly honest, I can be cynical when it comes to politics and politicians, because I might see the way that somebody is voting or what they're doing, and I might think to myself, how can they possibly be doing that? They're not looking out for the interest of the country. They're looking out for their own self-interest. And perhaps, I don't know, perhaps there's some quid pro quo. They are getting something from a lobbyist, somebody who's lobbying them to do something that's not in the best interest of a country. And that just goes back to, thinking that, perhaps government, perhaps it is. It's a necessary evil. and I'm trying to use these words and phrases in just a regular context, but also to show you that they are very common. We use them all the time. Then we have a word which is a very serious word, but it's used when talking about politics, and that is treason. And if we're talking about treason, we're saying that somebody is working with the enemy. with the enemies of a government to try and often illegally overthrow the current government. And you would say that somebody commits treason. We use it with that verb, to commit treason. And if somebody commits treason, it is very serious. That person could be punished very severely, but it means they're just working with an enemy government to undermine or overthrow the current government, to commit treason. So there you have it. These are some advanced words and phrases that you can use the next time you want to talk about politics, especially American politics, or you may even hear this vocabulary if you are listening to the news or reading a newspaper about politics. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and learned something new. If you did, hit that like button down below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.